So it is a struggle. And I like what you've been able to share in terms of modeling. Because we are telling parents, because I believe parents are the best teachers to their children. Because the children are able to learn how they carry out themselves on a regular basis. You know, as a parent, if you're able to model and emulate Christ, at the end of the day, children will be able, it will rub onto them. The reason as to why I'm saved today, I grew up my parents are saved. They love Jesus. I was the one who, every morning, our parents will ensure that we go to church. But I see how they model Christ, because my parents do devotion at home. Both of them. And they encouraged us to continue with devotion. So I've grown up in that culture. So how can parents be able to model out, even in their character, so that the children can easily be influenced? Because it's not about forcing. It's about influence. And how you influence, you model Christ. Yes.
Have you met young people who they can never go to the churches where their parents pastor?
Oh, yeah.
You know, their parents are pastors in a certain church, but they leave the same house every morning. But they'll go, perhaps, let me say, for example, to Deliverance Church. Yet, their mom and dad have a very big church, maybe called Passion of Christ or something. And they tell you, Mimi, Mercy, hiyo kovu yenye wazazi wangu wanahubiri mimi sijaijua, lakini hii kanisa ingine I seem to have an understanding with it. Have you met such individuals?
Yes, I have. And actually one of the common challenges I hear, we call them the PKs, the pastors' kids. One of the common challenge is they feel like they've been put on a pedestal and they are not allowed to be. And you see, all of us are humans and we are prone to mistakes. And I believe that's why God says in Romans 3:23, for all have sinned and fall short of his glory. Yet, he still loves us, because we see that in John 3:16. So they feel like they are put on a pedestal. They're supposed to behave in a particular way, and yet they are not their parents. Their parents have journeyed through a particular path for them to be where they are as pastors. So how do we extend grace to pastors' children? Because they need it.
Because it also happens that as the congregants, we also raise the bar too high for them.
Absolutely, yes.
Why is the pastor's daughter or son just seated and doing nothing in the church? After all, this is their parents' ministry. But you know, there is this understanding of, you might have been called Mercy, but I was not called.
Absolutely, absolutely. Individuality.
It's just, you know, a profession like any other. Absolutely. The fact that my mom and my dad are doctors does not mean that I must also be a doctor.
Absolutely.
The fact that they are lawyers does not mean. But why is it that when it comes to the PKs, manze pressure iko juu
kweli.
Kwanza sisi congregants hawaimbi kwa kwaya, hawako kwa ushering department, hawatoi sadaka kama sisi. They are not financiers of the church, and we put so much pressure on them. Can you talk to the society on their behalf, please?
Yeah, please. And that is one thing I will really want them. Let's extend grace to pastors' children, because they are children still they are adolescents, some of them, trying to navigate adolescence, and it is a transition. Transition is difficult for everyone. So let's extend grace. They are their own person. Allow them to be. Yes.
True.
Yes.
Na hapo ndio unapata sasa msichana anaenda, she gets pregnant out of wedlock. You know? She gets into drugs.
Yes.
She wants to prove something to guys in the estate, you know, or he wants to prove something because they are under so much pressure. And you know, today we are here for these PKs and small kids whose parents have really, you know, forced them to go to church, and it's no longer a personal choice. And we've had stories. Remember, I think sometime last year, one of the local TVs put up a story of a high school student who their kids were taken to camps every holiday, Christian camps where, you know, they're introduced to a religion where they must do things. We have the Shakahola, where small kids were even made to fast. Massive, I'm fasting in my home. My daughter is 3, 4 years, 5 years. Why is everyone fasting, including this baby?
Oh. Good question.
What are you exposing them to psychologically, mentally?
Yeah.
What are you
Do
putting
they
them?
understand what they are doing? Does the child understand?
Forcing prayers every now and then. Wacha kulala, you beat the child when they just fall asleep during prayer. When the child prays according to how they understand prayer should look like, you want them to even name scriptures. You complicate the prayer for them. You as a parent, what church are you taking your child to? What is being instilled into that child? Is it at the level of a child?
Understanding.
You know, I want you to look at it from the, you know me, I'm just saying it overall, but you have the psychological and mental. What happens to such children? Tell parents out there that when you do this to your child, this is what happens. Because you have the mental knowledge of what will become of this child the moment you have to put them through this.
Yes.
Some children out here, they hate God because of their parents. Yes, you've talked about modeling, but what have you put your child through? To an extent that they don't even like this thing called prayer.
Yeah. And that is why I do a lot of advocacy online. And one of the things I say is mental health struggles don't skip generations. They get inherited in silence. So the child is absorbing how you're behaving. I hear a lot of this with teens especially, like, oh, my mom was shouting at me just few minutes before the church, and I see her in church raising her hand. And there's a disconnect because what the child has experienced at home vis-a-vis what they are seeing in church, totally different persons. So then, and maybe I've talked about mental health on regular, and mental health, I'll define it according to World Health Organization. It's a state of well-being in which you are able to understand your abilities, you can cope well with the daily stressors of life, and you can make a contribution to your community. So there's mental wellness and there's mental illness. I know as a country, we've really been conditioned to look at, when you think about mental health, you think about anxiety, mental illness. But there's also mental wellness. And I really vouch for that, for parents to be able to practice mental wellness. But at times, extend grace to yourself as a parent. Because most often than not, as I say, they are the best teachers to their children because they understand their children better than even me as a specialist. I will come with the psychological aspect. I'm the expert, but they understand how their children behave when they take time to observe who they are. So because they are growing up with them on a regular. So being able to extend grace to yourself as a parent and being open to learning, how can you best raise children, especially now we are dealing with alpha generation. The alpha generation, they are very assertive. They speak their minds. They are growing in a full-blown digital era. So it's long gone when you can just talk about, tell the alpha child that sex ni tabia mbaya. Because they're already exposed in cartoons. It's everywhere. So as a parent, how do you support them? Because now there's that challenge of there's a thin line in the alpha generation. You're not sure as a parent whether they are assertive, they are expressing themselves, or they are becoming disrespectful. So there's a thin line that parents are always, negotiating because the child
I
will
can
speak
totally
their
see
mind.
it in my house already.
Yes.
Because at times, exactly. So how do we know the difference? That they are just expressing themselves and not being big-headed, as we say, wewe ni kichwa ngumu.
Yes. Oh, that's a good question. So how do you know the difference? Because at the end of the day, you know your child. And you're able to see when they are expressing themselves. There are things that they may say that maybe it may border disrespect. And it's not one blanket fits all. So all children are unique. So as a parent, as the child is sharing or speaking their mind, how are you able to decipher and know this is disrespectful and guide the child properly? When abuse comes, classic example, when the child begins to abuse you as a parent, That one, they have gone beyond. It's no longer being assertive. They're actually becoming disrespectful to you. So as a parent, how do you guide them back? Because it is now the duty of parents. The Bible says, train up a child in the way they should go. So when they grow up, they will never depart from it. So it's constantly training. Kuwarudisha back. Yes.
And this training is hard, especially now that...
Yeah. Oh, I feel for the parents, for sure.
We are now exposed to music, secular and gospel. So now let's come, I really want you to mentally, utusaidie tu, leo tumesema yes, we are talking about it spiritually.
Yes.
But as a Christian parent, I need you to guide us kabisa mentally. So this is my child. I get into the house. I am the praise and worship leader in my church.
Yes.
And the song that's singing is Mapangale. Masi, tell me how to talk to this child. Should I get in, slap them, switch it off, begin to pray for them and rebuke that demon? Or what should I do?
Praying for them is important. And because when you pray for your children, God is able to direct. He's the author. He's the perfect counselor. He's the one who understands them better than you do. But also being able to, before you rebuke, understand where this child is coming from. What does this song mean to the child? And that's why I really advocate for parents to be present in their children's life. Nothing can beat presence. So when you're present in your child's life, you're able to see the negative behavior. Like listening to secular music, because I was even talking to young people. This entire week I've been talking to young people in different engagements and telling them we need to renew our minds. Remember, you have the eye gate, the ear gate. What are you listening to? What are you hearing? What are you seeing? Yeah? So as a parent, being able to influence your child, understanding, now coming back to the question you've painted, as a parent, understand what is making your child listen to that secular music. What does it mean for them? So I will really encourage parents to question more in order for them to understand, as opposed to forcing it. Because the generation we are dealing with are not like millennials.
Does it mean I should also listen to that song from beginning to the end before I come and start judging my child? Because for others, they'll say, apana hiyo ni dhambi, sifai kuisikia. But do I have to sit and listen? Because I might be judging them wrong. And the song's message is completely different from what I think it is.
And that's a good one. And let me tell you, the young people, they understand you as a parent very well. They know you. They know what makes you tick. Like, they've taken time to observe you. And with the alpha generation, they question. They are very abstract in their thinking. Now, when you look at adolescents, when you look at even the young people, they're very abstract in their thinking. They want to understand why, mom, are you saying it is wrong? So come from the place of understanding. If it takes you to go and listen through that song to understand what is sin there. Because sin is clearly, I love the Bible because it's the basic principle. Everything that happens in our life has not caught God by surprise. It's biblically recorded. So as you highlight it to your child, you're also highlighting it from a point of knowledge. The sad state sometimes is, as parents, we may not really take time to understand where the child is coming from. And how we discipline the child today, the alpha generation today, needs to be different from how we were disciplined.
Otherwise, we will lose them. Everything was there present.
We will lose them because their resilience level is not as much. And that is why even right now, when you look at statistics, we have so many young people dying by suicide in schools. Yeah? Even out of schools, young people. Depression is the fourth leading cause of disability among young people. We are looking at 10 to 19, 15 to 24. That already tells us the resilience level that the Alpha and the Gen Z have is not as much as what millennials, Gen X, and the ones who have gone ahead, the baby boomers, had. So as parents, how do we exercise mindful parenting to better support our children? And mindful parenting is being there. Before we judge, understand where they are coming from. They will challenge you in terms of your mind. Me, I've had conversations with children. The other time I had a session with an adolescent, 11-year-old, and the parents. And the adolescent said, Mom, your problem is you don't listen.
Wow.
It sounds very... Me as I'm a millennial, but I look like a Gen Z, and I love Gen Zs a lot. So being able to understand where this child is coming from, so that you can be able to address them, make it make sense to them. Following will be a non-issue. If it makes sense, following it will be a non-issue.
And how do I listen? Maybe I think I'm listening, but I'm not, because there are parents who say, I've given you this, I've given you that, I've been there for you, you don't appreciate, you don't see it, I've taken you to hospital when you were sick, you've never missed out in your education, you've never been chased from school, but your child still tells your mom or dad, you're not listening. But at the back of my head, I'm thinking that I'm the best parent,
to your child.
Yeah. And I'm like, where did I go wrong?
Yeah. And first of all, I'll still emphasize parents need to extend grace to themselves. Because one of the things that I was able to spot is most parents actually who are raising Gen Alpha are either millennials and are minimal at Gen X. And I know, of course, I'm cognizant of the fact we have children who are raised by their grandparents. Yeah. So just staying with the millennials because of how we were raised. For us, our parents, it was their way or the highway.
And that's what I do with my kids right now.
So. Oh my.
And it's getting harder every day.
Yes, it's gonna be harder because
listening to you is just making me more scared.
It's gonna be harder because with the alpha, they are so informed in terms of their cognition. They are so advanced. They are growing in a with globalization. The world has become a global village. They are understanding a lot. They are gadgets. They can code. They can do a lot with the gadgets right now compared to our times. So then, as a parent, how do you listen? And this is speaking into not being too quick to give feedback,
okay,
or to advise, but listening to where they are coming from. Ask questions. Ask questions like, what makes you think that this is like this? I had a conversation with a parent and a child, and this child was struggling with obesity, and I was coming in as the mental health specialist to understand where the child's mind is, because it's a struggle for children. Going to school, children are name calling, are giving you different names because of how you look. So how do you navigate that?
Because it goes
beyond physical.
There was a time that was normal. When you were too thin, you would be given a name and it would be okay. Yeah. When you were too fat, you'd be given, when your head was in a certain way, you would called mayai or something, and it was football, and it was literally okay.
Yeah.
When your physique was, it was, but now.
Now, you may call a child a name, and the next minute, God forbid, we are hearing they've died by suicide, which is that is what pains me. It's a very sad state because they don't need to give up now.
So where were you at with this child?
So with this child, I wanted to understand what does it mean for her when she's told to eat, because I was working hand in hand with a nutritionist. So they are key players. And if we could all take our position, so that I don't have to double. I'm not doubling up as a nutritionist because I am not. I understand the human mind. The pastor understands the spirituality aspect of it. We are all key players supporting the families to grow in supporting children to grow holistically and families to be united, just as Christ has called us to do. Yeah. So being able to understand where the child is coming from. And as I asked questions, I came to realize this child in her journey towards losing weight. One of her struggles, she actually pointed out, she said, "Mom, you're a bad cook. My mother is a bad cook." And the mother was in that space. And you can imagine what plays in the mind of the mother. There's a lot that goes on, because you're like, you've done all, you've provided, and it is good.
Yes, I have. I'm cooking for you.
You're cooking. You're actually paying school fees.
You should actually be cooking for
yourself.
Boil that egg and eat it, and noodles. And you call me a bad cook.
Mm-hmm. That was it cut deep. But being able to understand where this child is coming from, so asking questions. And you know what made this child say that they draw a conclusion that the mother is a bad cook is because of how the mother cooked broccoli. She hates broccolis, and hate is a strong word. So by asking questions, you're able to understand where this adolescent is coming from. Then, how do you enable the adolescent to use proper terms for them to be, because they are growing, they're acting with their emotional brain. Their mind has not fully developed. Actually, the mind fully develops at the age of 25. That means this part of their mind that is responsible for solving problems and making informed decision has not fully developed. But as a parent, yours has fully developed. And I'm looking at a parent who is over 25. I'm very cognizant. We have teen moms, teen dads. But now looking at a parent who is beyond 20, your brain has fully developed. So how do you keep on guiding, taking this child back? Training, that's the way the Bible says, training them in the way they should go. How do you influence them to be able to obey? Because when you look at Christ, I love emulating Christ. Because I love one thing that somebody I look up to, Cecil Winans, says, you're the only Jesus your people are going to see. So at home, in the community, where you are we able to see Christ in how you carry out yourself? So being able to ensure that as a parent, you're emulating Christ. As you emulate Christ, it will rub off to your child. And praying for your child is also important. Yeah.
Well, so is it that I have a bigger role to play than God has in raising this child?
God, you are a steward. You are a steward, because the Bible says before you were formed in your mother's womb, He knew you. And He predestined you for greatness. So that means, how I look at it, God has chosen you as a parent, as a steward. And God chooses the best. You're the best parent to that child. All you need to do is partner with God to raise a mentally healthy child. A child who will love the Lord.
So when they don't want to go to church, what do I do, Mercy?
Understand where they're coming from. What is it about church that they hate?
So there might be something in that church.
Children don't just decide not to. Even adolescents, they don't just decide not to do things.
And should I leave them and allow them to take that break and not go to church for that time until they're ready to do so?
I wouldn't propagate for leaving them, because there's a role as a parent you need to play. Like training them up, influencing them to go to church, because that is where they get the foundation.
Refuse. Last Sunday, they called for a meeting of kids. I think it was GBV or something, and youth were also meeting in church. And one of the church leaders seated right in front of me was like, the pastor asked, "Is there anyone who tried to send their child to church and they refused?" And that lady was like, "Yes." And she was seated at the unajua huko mbele kabisa. She's one of the cell group leaders.
Okay.
And she was like, personally, I can say that my child refused to come to church. I tried everything I can. And my child told me sikuji kanisani. So what about such a child?
Oh, so it's to understand what is it about church what is making them refuse to go to church. As a parent, and that there's this style of parenting called permissive parenting, whereby you want to remain cool. And I'm not saying it's that the case of the parent you've highlighted. So we want to be friends to our children. We want to remain the cool ones. But remember that God has given you the mandate as a parent to train up this child. So me, I would really advocate for understanding where the child is coming from and trying to influence them. You remember they are acting with their emotional brain. And emotional brain is, I want to do it, I will do it. I won't do it. I will do it. I'm not looking at the repercussions. I'm not looking at the consequences. I am just doing it because I feel like doing it. But that's where you come in as a parent. How do you practice also being able to inform your child the importance of going to church? Because the more you leave your child at home and you're able to go to church and get spiritual nourishment, by the time your child is coming to the realization of Christ, sometimes it's too late. They've done it all. Because the way the Bible says where 2 or 3 are gathered, He's there in their midst. So your child needs to be exposed to that environment for them to continually get spiritual nourishment and for their faith to be built.
And when you say that, someone would ask me that for our brothers and sisters, I like calling them that because God is still the one who created them, as much as they believe in a different kind of God. The Muslims. Why is it so easy for them to introduce religion to their children and they just, they tag them along. They don't even, you have to dress in a certain way. It's not a problem. You do it. Even though nowadays we hear wanavaa hizo nguo zingine ndani, but Jude, they still remain dressed the way they are meant to dress. When it's time to pray, I don't have to call you and tell you, Leah, it's prayer time. They put their mats down, they go down and begin to pray to their God. But for us Christians, hata ndio niitane tu tukwenda devotion akiwa jamani.
And to that, and that speaks about my passion, because for me, my purpose is around young people, because I feel like if the foundation is wrong, it becomes very difficult to influence them. The formative years are 7 years and below. And when you look at Muslims, they take their time to ensure that their children are already, sort of inclined to that particular space. So it becomes their norm. Because these children are born with empty slates.
True.
And they are born every day.
Correct.
So and that is why I'm very keen on ensuring that I create, by the grace of God, build a solid foundation where the child can be able to know the truth from the get-go. Because when they know the truth from the get-go, in their formative years, then it becomes very difficult. Ata in adolescence, wakipotea because they are struggling, they are navigating under identity versus role confusion, trying to understand who they are. At the end of the day, even if they go astray, they will come back because the foundation was right. The reason as to why I have worked in the secular place, in the corporate space for a long time, I have never, by the grace of God, denounced God. Why is it? Because my foundation was right. Every time my parents pushed me to go to church, there's no one Sunday, even now as adults, they will keep on asking us, have you gone to church? They are not in the country, but they will ask, did you go to church? Because it's about influence and about making the foundation right. And that is why my heart goes out to churches, especially churches that ignore the children's ministry. Because that is where it begins. You see, for Muslims, they've understood the art. It's the foundation. And let me tell you, even when you're looking at mental health struggles, because it's an emergency right now, not only in Kenya, even globally, it's an emergency. If we are able to spot mental health struggles as young as possible, and I'm really glad even with Ministry of Education, because just recently we were working on a document, a guideline, a school mental health guideline that will be able to address this issue at a tender age. And my challenge to churches is let us invest on children's ministry. Let us invest on teens ministry, because when the foundation is right, we will have healthier adults.
So we need to have
And as
Sunday.
parents,
Yeah,
let's invest.
we need to have a Sunday school whereby you specialists, counselors come in.
Absolutely.
You talk to children.
Yes.
Find out, and that this is as young as 5 years.
Yes.
4 years.
Yes. Even 3 years.
As much as we are mentoring them spiritually, that also we are watching out for their mental stability.
Absolutely. And let me tell you, we will see it. Our church, Deliverance, did it for me. Bishop Masinde is very instrumental when it comes to children's ministry and teens ministry and youth ministry.
Because he understands the foundation.
Understands the foundation needs to be right. Because I have grown up in that church, literally, since I was young. So the foundation is right. So it becomes very deep. I have navigated, I've gone from Sunday school to teens ministry to youth ministry. I have navigated through that entire transition. But even as I go to the secular world, as I deal, because I deal with the LGBTQ community, I deal with the female sex workers, by the nature of the work that I'm in, because I'm in the public health space. But you know what? Even as I interact with people of different value system as me, my foundation is solid.
You can never want to maybe join the camp.
My foundation is solid.
You already know your focus.
I know my focus.
So you're helping them to join your camp, actually.
Yeah.
The camp of Christ.
I know my focus. I will not impose my values for sure. Yeah. But then at the end of the day, I would want to influence them by how I carry out my life.
So below 7, I need to teach my children.
Train them up. Even as parents, the work of parents is very... there's a lot.
We leave scriptures to the Sunday school teachers and the Sunday school ufunzwe Biblia, but at home we never take time to tell them that this is the story of John the Baptist, this is the story of Jesus. All we'll ask ni ulifunzwa nini Sunday school, or not even bother.
Or leave them for the house helps to raise them.
Yes, don't come to church utanisumbua time ya ibada.
Error. Okay, that is error. For parents, you're the best teachers to your children. And even as a special, I cannot do the job of a parent.
Yeah, I know.
You're the best teacher. And that is why I come in, actually. Because for me, my role is being the link between the frustrated parent and the misunderstood child. As I have counseled, journeyed with children, I have interacted with parents, and I understand their struggles. Because you are providing, you're going out of your way, you are ensuring your child is clothed. You want the best for your child. And when your child comes and tells you, oh, you're a bad cook, or you've done this, it hurts and hurts deeply. And I understand that. But our mandate as parents is very key in raising a mentally healthy child. And Christ has entrusted us. So how do we pray for grace? That God may give us the grace to raise children, even in this generation. Children who will be God-fearing. Children who will be mentally healthy. And that's where I come in, to be able to give us tools. Tools that will help us to practice mindful parenting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, you've challenged us today, especially me, that listen part. Where?
We listen.
I always want my children to listen to me, but before I start listening to them, midway I'm like, where? Hii story inaisha sangapi? It's like it's not coming to an end.
Yeah.
And they go over it and go over it,
Yeah, because they want to be heard. They want you to just listen, to just hear them out and then correct them. Because you're better placed, you're more informed. For them, they are still learning, So how do you listen and then correct in love?
Yeah, and also speak to them. Because yesterday, my 5-year-old put some song. I don't even know it, but I was so sure it's secular because of how she was dancing. And she was not even guilty of dancing in front of me that way. She was shaking her body, and I could see her turn around and look at her behinds, and and I was like, God, where have I gone wrong? So I decided to take a breather first, and then I asked her, Mommy, who taught you how to dance that way? She looked at me fast, and she was like, hey, you asked me who has asked you, instead of telling me wacha kudance hivyo, hiyo ni dance ya kishetani. You know, most parents would go like that, you know. That is the devil in you. You need to stop, you know. But I asked her and she smiled back. And then she put the song on because it was a reel. So she started the reel again and she danced again. And she waited to see how is mommy going to react again. And I was like, okay, that dancing style is not bad. At least I know God has blessed you with what you have, you know. But I still need to know who taught you how to dance that song, you know.
Absolutely. And you see, I like how you ask the questions, because now when you ask how you frame your question, as human beings, it will either make somebody go on defense mode or be open enough to tell you.
Wow.
So if you are quick to like, why are you doing that? Very quickly, as human beings, leave alone children, we will go to defense mode. But if you come with, what is making you dance like that? Or it is unlike you to dance like that. Where is this coming from? They will tend to actually open up more. So you're trying to like win them over.
Yeah, make them your best friend.
You're actually creating a safe space.
Yeah, relationship.
You are creating a safe space. You're genuine. You're asking a genuine question. You're something we call unconducive positive regard. Like, you're not judging them. You want to listen. You want to understand. And listening is about understanding, actually. Not be too quick to give feedback. No. But hearing what they are saying and trying to understand what they mean by what they are saying. And where you're not understanding, asking them to further clarify to you. Because also parents, we need to also be genuine in saying that we don't know everything. Gone are those days.
I know that one.
Yeah, you don't know. And the children are really exposed.
More than us.
They know a lot. So sometimes even being and you know, when you practice being genuine enough to actually tell them, by the way, this I don't know.
Teach me.
Yeah. You know what you're training them to do? You're training them to take responsibility when they are not aware of something they know. You're actually training them not to be perfectionists. Or know-it-alls. You're actually building a culture where they know that it is actually okay to ask where you are stuck. But if you're like, you know it all, then what are you modeling? You're modeling like you have to be perfect. And there's no one who's perfect. It is only Christ.
True.
And that's why we celebrate him today, because it's Easter. We thank him for dying on the cross. For us sinners, mortal men, mere mortals.
Imagine.
Yeah.
He did it for us.
He did it for us because we cannot do it without him. He's the reason for our being.
I am so challenged today, and I stand at a point where I feel at times I wish this interview could go on and on, but at times I feel people say that I'm a single parent. I'm raising this child alone. And you feel that maybe some mistakes that your child has made, despite you being a Christian, praying for them, raising them in the way of the Lord, is just because the father figure was not around. You know? And you feel, maybe if the father was around, this Christian child who I have raised would not be sleeping around with men, looking for love in all the wrong places, they usually say. Yeah, or this boy would not be behaving more like a woman than a man. And you find it goes on generation to generation. You find that the woman will even stand and tell the husband, "Wewe uko na umama mingi sana. Juu hukulelewa na baba in the picture." You know? So it's mental health starts from when a child is born.
Yeah, it does. Even before they are born. When they are in the mother's womb, that is where mental health starts.
Oh, wow.
And that is why even as we are doing, when I'm onboarding a client, of course, I want to understand, because most of my clients are children. So I want to understand from the parent what was happening when you're pregnant with this child. Because when you look at issues like depression, there is genetic predisposition, what we call, because of where the parent is coming from. The child is exposed. That means there is a high probability for them to go through depression by the mere fact that their mother was going through depression when they were, or experienced postpartum depression when they were actually going through the pregnancy period. So I want to understand from pregnancy, was it a normal pregnancy? You know, were you going through emotional turmoil? Were you going through any form of violence? What was happening during that? Because it starts from pregnancy. And it goes, they are empty slates. And that is why I say mental health struggles don't skip generations. They get inherited in silence.
So it's not only spiritual. When you hear, like, there's a friend of mine, his mother committed suicide. He seems to oftenly have that feeling of wanting to commit suicide. The other day he lost his sister, his elder sister, to suicide. And now he's troubled. So we need to stop thinking as Christians that it's only a matter of a spirit.
Yeah,
this is also something. It's just like how we say diabetes is genetic, you know.
Yes.
This can also be the same case.
Yes. Absolutely. So there's a pray. We are not saying you don't pray, but pray. But allow this person to go and see a specialist. Because now when they come to us, I am empowered enough to be able to use techniques. Because psychology is about, there are techniques we are empowered to use to be able to effectively support this young person.
Mercy, thank you. What is your take home for us today as we complete this interview? I can't even believe 1 hour is over.
It's over.
I have learned a lot as a parent and also just as a Christian who's out there to mentor other people. Very important.
Very important.
Even pastors should go for this mental.
Yes.
It's important. You meet with different washirika who take you through drama.
Yes.
You need to. It doesn't make you. Hakuna shida ukienda.
Hakuna shida.
Mimi ni pastor, najua kila kitu naweza omba, naweza tabiri. I can prophesy. I know what is going on with you need a mental health expert.
You need an expert, and that is, burnout is real for pastors. Burnout is real, and as a pastor, when you're feeling emotionally exhaustion, you need to reach out for support. So who care for the people who are caring, even parents? That is why you need to speak to a psychologist to support you, because we can't be all knowing. Yeah, I may not be a parent, yes, and I am not for now, but then I have skill set. I have worked with a number of young people. I mentor them on a daily basis. This is what I understand, that I can be able to give you tools that can help you as a parent to get to communicate better with your child, and at the end of the day, raise a mentally healthy child. Because there are two people who can actually destroy somebody's life: the parent and the teacher. When you listen to children, even adults, what my teacher said, my dad said, yes. So our children are vulnerable, and they listen to us as parents. So I will tell parents to practice mindfulness. And how do you start? Being present in your child's life. Presence is more. I know we are looking for money, but let me tell you, they forget about gifts.
Yeah, true.
But when you attend the prize giving day, when you attend when they are playing soccer, when you're present at home, when you're listening to them, when you find out how school was for them, it goes a long way.
Very important.
Yes. So I will tell parents, my take home for all parents, be present, intentionally present. Don't leave your child to house managers to raise them. Be present to your child's life, in your child's life.
Thank you.
And thank me later.
Thank you very much. It's what we are talking about is important, because a comment just came in and someone's telling me there's no such thing. Just to look after children. Simply meaning there is no child who has mental issues. Just look after your child.
Look after your own child. You'll be able to
deal with them the way you are dealt with. Seriously, the way I thought before that was the way to do it.
Oh my!
But I'm sure. For everyone, I usually say you learn a day at a time. That's where the person is at right now, thinking that you need to be, this kind of busy body parent who, when your child talks, you tell them, "Wewe utaniambia nini? Mimi niko na miaka mingi kukuliko. Wewe umezaliwa tu jana." And you never give them a chance to, to speak. And I usually say, even if Jesus knew that in order to feed that crowd, that he had everything in himself, he wouldn't have told his disciples, go and check what you have around. And who is found with food?
Yes.
Who had the food? Was it a grown-up?
A small baby.
Thank you very much. So as a parent, your child has something that can feed your life and make a difference in your life.
Absolutely.
This was just a small boy who fed more than 5,000 people. Yes, he multiplied it.
Yes.
But he wouldn't have multiplied nothing.
Yes. That boy was very instrumental in that particular time.
Very important.
He caused impact. He lived his purpose.
We might not know his name.
Yes.
We might not know his family.
Yeah.
But we know he fed more than 5,000 people. So your child may look like they can't feed your life with something, but I've learned from you today. Listen to them.
Listen to them.
Your presence is more important than presence.
Absolutely.
Make time for them.
Make time for them.
Listen to their minds because they have something that they can contribute to you. Thank you very much, Mercy. I look forward to having you again. I had an amazing time.
Yeah.
So that was Mercy here with us, and it's 2 minutes past 8 o'clock finally. Time flies when you're here, and God nurtures us and changes us. So we'll go on a short break before I invite our pastor, who I know is already here, and I believe, Mercy, you'll come back again.
I'll come back, and people feel free to follow me, because online I speak a lot on mental
that's how I met you.
Yeah. So on Facebook, Mercy Blessed.
Yes.
And on LinkedIn, Mercy Nzuki.
And indeed, you will be blessed. Yes. So let's take a short break. I'll be right back.
87.9 Spice FM, Mombasa. Welcome to Spice Gospel.